What's up? This is me, Friction.
This is Rockwell.
Hi, this is Kia, KT.
This is Joe Ford.
Yo, this is Icicle.
Hey, this is SpectraSoul.
This is Linguistics.
Yo, it's Alix Perez.
And we are here celebrating 10 years of Shogun Audio.
Happy birthday, Shogun. Peace.
We're here now, obviously, 10 years down the line. Still feels a bit crazy to think that, you know, but we're here and it's all working so well. I'm just sort of mad to be here, 10 years of the label. I knew Kia from Under Fire Records, who I was kind of originally working with around the same time as Renegade Hardware. I released music on Under Fire, Renegade Hardware. Sort of 5 years down the line, when things were sort of really taking off for the label, Kia was in a position to come into it as a business partner.
Yeah, so it was about 5 years into Shogun when I got involved with the label. We started looking at actually having a plan in place as to where we were going to take it, and one of the first things we did was start to sign artists for album deals and try to build a group of people that we were going to work with rather than just signing individual tracks. And it's at that time we then signed people like Icicle, Alix Perez, SpectraSoul, and really then we started to feel that there's some real big opportunities for Shogun.
Yeah, we've obviously put this album together, bit of a ambitious project, but we've got there, you know what I mean? And just great to sort of, it's been great reflecting on it. Obviously on the album there's, you know, an album of brand new music, showing where the label is exactly right now, which feels really good.
I think what we wanted to do with the 10-year celebration as a whole is to sort of reflect a little bit on the past. So in some of the music we've got there'll be a bunch of the classic tracks, there's some remixes of the classic tracks, plus a look to the future as well, so there's a lot of new tracks from the new roster or the existing roster. So it's a bit of a, you know, past, present, future kind of vibe on it.
I think the label at the moment reflects, after 10 years of work, we really feel happy with the musical style of the artists on the label, and it's a nice celebration of where it is.
We were always kind of, because we were pally with Ed and Kia, we were always kind of part of the crew even before we signed fully and fully sold our souls away. So Ed and Kia always had our music first before we even signed fully, and then it was just a kind of formality when we got there in, I think it was like 2009 or something.
Well, how I signed them was basically, I sent them Full Circle, and I think it was pre-release of Full Circle, and went down. They said, "Oh, do you want to come down to Brighton for a meeting?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then they took me to Carluccio's for lunch. Very nice. Thank you very much, Ed. And yeah, they offered me an album deal, and it was pretty much out of the blue. But it didn't really take a lot of thought, other than getting a lawyer to look at the contract. You never know those guys.
My first things got signed to Shogun Limited. I think the first one was Time to Remember, if I am not mistaken, and I did something with SpectraSoul quite shortly after that, and some stuff with Perez as well, and you know, putting them out in Shogun Limited, and we started talking about the possibilities of, you know, Shogun moving up. And well, I guess I've fully joined Shogun Audio about a year after I first had my first things to Shogun Limited.
I think it was about a year ago. I was sat in a Wetherspoons having a pint with my mate, and I got a text from Ed, and I thought it was a hoax because it's not every day you get a text from Friction saying, you know, let's get some tunes together and stuff. So I gave him a call, and it turns out it was him.
Basically, I mean, the signing of Solitary Native and, you know, thereon was basically sending tunes to Friction, and at that time, you know, SpectraSoul would come in here, and I was talking to Icicle, and it was like a nice little bubble of people sort of on the same vibe. And yeah, they kind of approached me to basically work with them on a, you know, closer level and for a longer period of time, and it just seemed like kind of natural, and it felt right for me. I felt like it was a label where I could experiment.
Well, before we got signed, we were in contact with Friction over emails, and AIM sent him tracks, he liked it, and yeah, after a while he asked us if we wanted to join Shogun permanently.
Like, it's a bit of a cliche, but I do love every single track signed to the label.
Easy. My favourite tune on Shogun easily is Subwave Thing. It's just with the little bongo riff. I think the remix of Faceless was quite good.
That's just before came out, just before I got signed, and it was a sound that was involved in it, which I really liked.
Alix's first album, Alix's second album, Ice's first album, SpectraSoul. The discography is healthy. Let's just put it like that. Discography is healthy.
I can't say Dreadnought because I look like extremely arrogant, but that is still a good tune.
In terms of like deep musical track, I think probably one of my favourites is Kismet by D-Bridge.
On the more mellow side, I'm trying to think what my favourites would be. I think it's one on Alix's album called Contradictions, which is a sick tune.
Definitely Set It Off. Set It Off was one of my favourite tunes. SpectraSoul, Delay No More, again, another one.
The list goes on, really.
We genuinely love every track that we put out on the label. They may not necessarily be the biggest track in terms of commercial success, but they're all very important, and they reflect you know, our desire to put out great quality music.
Probably a big track for us was, you know, the obvious one is Aztec by Spore.
Selfishly, our proudest moment is definitely the album, because you know, it's our baby and we did our thing with it, and very happy with it. That's the selfish one, I guess.
Well, I think all the records I've been put out of, I've been very proud of every single one that I've done on Shogun, as I have with all of the stuff that I've put out on labels. But I think I've definitely put out my best work with Shogun.
My first album on Shogun, that was a defining moment in my career. You know, I really look back on myself making music as sort of before my album and after. It was a complete difference.
As far as Shogun parties and favourite moments, there's been so many. When I was running the label myself, and in the early sort of days, and my agent at the time managed to get us in at the end, before the end closed, and we had a good couple of years at the end.
More recently, we've had some big warehouse parties in London, which has been fantastic. It's great to be able to push the boundaries with what we're doing.
I'm going to say the end.
You know, won't really get a better club than that.
That's one of my best memories of parties at Shogun, definitely.
It's mad it's been 10 years. I never kind of envisaged that we'd get this far with it, or that there'd be a we. You know, when I started it, it was me in my front room on my PC.
10 years is a milestone for anything, and it's good to be involved.
I'm glad to be part of a label that's not fixated on something that happened 20 years ago.
If Shogun is 10 years old, it means I was 18 when I got involved with the label. That is scary.
And I'm glad to be part of a label that's not a production line for a DJ's record box.
How far Shogun has come in 10 years, it's amazing.
I think it's over 70 releases in 10 years, so the label has constantly been releasing really, really great stuff, and is continuing to do so.
Well, I think it's an absolute milestone. I mean, 10 years, you know, and it's quite a cutthroat industry, and it's hard for labels to sustain, I think, especially nowadays.
I mean, for something to kind of develop and be as strong for a 10-year period, it's pretty incredible, obviously. And it kind of speaks for how strong the genre is, as well as the label.
We've learnt a lot over this last 10-year period, and I think what we're able to do now is use that as a platform for us to build and to grow and to really take this thing forward.
The main thing about Shogun that made me sign, I think, was the whole family vibe.
Hopefully we'll be here, you'll be asking me similar questions in another 10 years. And yeah, fingers crossed we can reach that barrier. I'm sure we will.
I'm just immensely proud of the team that we've built, the artists that we've worked with.
Making music, playing music and loving it, that's what I'm doing. And like I say, the label's a big part of that for me, and glad to be a part of it myself.